Welcome to another episode of Action Video Game Talk. I'm your host, Scott Action Jackson, and this time I'm not here by myself.
Are you sure? I mean, you could be by yourself. I mean, seeing as how this is a Skype call, and as per those of you who actually pay attention to our wrestling corner over off Fandom Knight, I mean, there's a link in the description and stuff. I mean, maybe you should click it and watch some wrestling. I mean, maybe. But anyway, that's all I got to add. So I mean, this is your show, dude. Let's get to it.
I am here with Seth Lovell, Seth Sario Lovell, helping me out with an episode of Action Video Game Talk, and hopefully this becomes an occasional thing, considering this is the first time I'm actually recording for Action Video Game Talk in a long while.
Yeah, his laptop kind of went boom for a while, and then
so did my headset.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is the first time I'm actually recording back for Action Video Game Talk, and hopefully every often I can either have you, or maybe one member from the Fandom Knight come in and help me discuss news topics.
Which would be kind of fun. We'll see how this experiment works.
Yeah. So then let's hop into the first topic. And actually the first topic is what I sent Seth some images of. Apparently these screenshots that have been leaked are apparently rumored screenshots for the upcoming Platinum Games Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. Now, this game was, I think, first rumored to be titled Out of the Shadows. And now, with one of the images that I sent you, it said something else like Mutants in Manhattan or something
Mutants
like that.
in Manhattan, yeah, that's the one I'm currently looking at.
But let's first go to the Raphael one.
Okay, hold on, let me go all the way back to the beginning. Just scrolling. Whoops, scrolled too far. Okay.
First, let's take a look at this Raphael one. Raphael, obviously the turtle designs are going to be a lot different than what we expected.
Kinda yes and kinda no. The problem comes down to a matter of most people who know the Ninja Turtles know the cartoon. And, of course, the Ninja Turtles cartoon was based off the comic books by Eastman and Laird, if I remember correctly. And the comic books were supposed to be like a gritty noir-style type of comic book. But in order for them to get the rights to toys, which is kind of what they were wanting to do, because as most people know, as soon as you start getting in, toys and merchandise, that's when the real money starts coming in from the comic book industry. They couldn't really market it towards children, which is kind of what comic books are supposed to be marketed toward. So they had to create our TV show.
The one that we grew up with in the late 80s, early 90s?
Yep. And, I mean, Turtles have gone through multiple different variations. Like, there was the one that was running for a while, I think off of Fox.
Yeah.
And it was, like, a lot darker and a lot grittier, but it still didn't quite capture the attitude of the Turtles. Now they're running the Nickelodeon show, and I told Bill that I thought the Nickelodeon show was awesome, and he was like, no, screw that, no. Then he started watching it, and he was like, holy crap, dude, this is amazing. And I said, see, I told you. Now, the other day when we were all hanging out, it was me, Bill, Scotty, and, of course, Bill's girlfriend and his daughter. And we were sitting around watching some Turtles, and you were still kind of iffy with it.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I'm kind of iffy. I haven't gone around to watching a full episode. Well, except for the times over at Bill's.
Yeah, I was about to say, no, that's complete dog crap right there, because we watched, like, 5 episodes, I think, maybe.
But I mean, like, here at home, I haven't.
Yeah.
Because here at home, I have, like, the first season, and I haven't gone around to watching it.
Well, the problem is when you buy the actual DVDs, it's not actually season, it's story arc. So, technically speaking, in order to get the first season of it, you would have to watch, like, the first 2 or 3 story arcs. Then after the first 2 or 3 story arcs are done, that's your first season. Then you gotta go into, like, the next 3 story arcs, that's your next season. And then the current 3rd season, I think they just released the ass end of the story arc DVDs for the third season, if I can speak correctly.
But back to this image.
Yeah.
This,
Yeah, and like I said, when it comes down to it, like, this looks more like the comic book style of Turtles.
yeah, I mean,
Because I know they
it's
released that
different. It's definitely
Nickelodeon.
different.
Yeah, I know they released that Nickelodeon version of the Turtles game, and that one did not look like this. Like, this definitely looks like they're trying to go towards, like, the more... I'm trying to think of how to describe how this looks. It looks like Beautiful Joe, like that type of art style, but somehow it looks like it works for these. Like this version of the Turtles, it looks like it works for them.
Well, with this, we're looking at Raphael attacking some rock soldier creature.
It's definitely a rock soldier. It's like the Dimension X rock soldier.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but the design on the size looked different than normal ones.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like Raphael's like got some kind of headphones on or something. Which
I kind of see what you're talking about with like that metal piece, but
yeah.
I don't think it's actually headphones or anything like that. Like it might be because he's got the bandages all over his arms and hands and knees. It might be like some extra bandages on his head or something.
And in the corner of this picture, it says Pure Xbox, and that's probably the source of these images that we're going through here.
Yeah.
And, right here we got Raphael attacking a rock soldier. Let's just go with that for now. And we go to the next one, and we have what looks like Donatello, Michelangelo, Leonardo, and Raphael fighting Bebop?
Yeah, it's definitely Bebop. I'm trying to see, because it looks like Leo might be attacking somebody else in the back. Like he's about to like start doing like a side kick, like a roundhouse kick to somebody. But I'm not sure if they're just attacking a giant form of Bebop, or if like if they've already taken out Rocksteady, or if maybe like Rocksteady's behind Bebop, but it doesn't look like it.
But again, on the Donatello, it looks like you got those headphones things again.
Yeah, that's true.
And some of the weapons that they're using are lighting up now. Which is...
It might be like a power thing, because I noticed when I was running through the images and stuff earlier, like, we'll get to one later where you could see Leo and his katana up close, and at first I thought it was just like a power-up for it or something. Like, somehow there's like an item you can get, or after you get so many like hits on the combo. Because the last picture with Raph, his Sai was lighting up as well. Like, it still had that red glow off of it.
But it was barely.
Yeah.
It was just there. But
yeah.
with the previous image, it looked like it was inside of a sewer. With this image, it looks like you're inside of a bank vault.
Which, that one wouldn't surprise me. Like, Bebop and Rocksteady break into a bank.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to rob it.
They usually break into all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So the next image we have is once again the four turtles, but it looks like in a subway car about to hit them. But Leonardo has got his glowing katana. It doesn't even quite look like the katana on the back one. It looks more like a short sword.
Well, again, that could just be the way that the spatial dimension from the image is. Yeah. Like, it just looks shorter. But again, my thing with it is like you see the blues coming off of it.
Yeah.
Like, you'll see that in other images as well. So I don't know if somehow, like, something happened where they unlocked some ability to, like, increase their weapons or something.
Or, like, it could just be another, like, a bonus power for a certain time.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it might just be a matter of, like, that's just their weapons now. Like, somehow in this game, that's what their weapons are going to be. Or if, like, you know, I had said before, if it's just a matter of, like, there's a power-up they got, or it's an upgrade or something.
And, again, it looks like some kind of headset right there, because it looks like that little piece of antenna sticking up on each of the turtles.
Yeah, it actually is. It's a headset. Now that I can see it clearly, it's definitely a headset. And now that I've zoomed in, I've realized that their faces look ridiculous.
Yeah, their faces look ridiculous. I mean, the design on the turtles is a bit but then again, it's supposed to be a bit gritty as well. Mm-hmm. So the next image is apparently Leonardo, Michelangelo, and I guess Donatello back there taking out some foot?
Judging by their clothes, yes, they look like foot soldiers, but I'm kind of confused as to like what model they are.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it was a human, if they're robot. If they are robot, are they like the standard robot? Are they like an advanced form, like they're supposed to be like the heavy troopers? Because in our other games, like the arcade games and that, they had like different variants of the foot soldier.
Yeah, some different colored ones.
Well, yes, you would have different colored, but you would also have like I can't remember if it was in the second Turtles game or if it was in the fourth Turtles game, but there was one known as like the heavy. What was it? It was the heavy soldier, and essentially he wore like extra body armor and stuff, and it took like a lot more to like actually kill him. I could be wrong, but I could swear there was something like that in one of the games where like they wore extra armor, and in order to do it, you actually had to waste your health performing your power move to actually like take him out.
But yeah, this image, well, here, this is happening on the streets of the city.
Yep.
It's like broad out in front of everyone to see. So it's like, yeah, the ninjas aren't being quite so sneaky.
Yeah, but they always get away with that in the games. They always find like some excuse where it's like, even though, yes, they are out in the middle of the streets, like it might be a time of day, which in New York City is ridiculous to say. Because New York is kind of like Las Vegas or Chicago or stuff like that, where quite literally there is no such thing as the city has shut down. Like there's always something going on and there's always traffic and stuff.
Yeah.
But they could say that it's a part of town where like the police are occupying it and they've shut down the streets looking for something, or you know, something weird's gone on. And
it would be funny if there's like a car chase going on while this fight is happening too.
Yeah. Yeah, that actually would be hilarious. The cops drive by and you can actually jump out of the way and let a car take out a foot soldier.
So this next image is looking like Donatello, and I'm guessing Raphael fighting a few different dressed foot soldiers with some different weapons.
Yeah, that's definitely Wrath. And yes, these are definitely different foot soldiers.
And this is obviously inside one of the skyscrapers or something that's being built.
Yeah, it's inside of a building that's undergoing construction. But again, they also had literally in the last Turtles movie that came, or not Turtles movie, in the last Turtles game that came out, the one that was supposed to be a combination of the Turtles movie and the Nickelodeon cartoon, there was a sewer level where you had to deal with subway trains, a separate sewer level. There was it wasn't a bank, if I remember correctly. You actually went into the TGRI building. I don't know why I had a retard moment there and couldn't think of it. But anyway, you actually went into that building. There was a skyscraper that was under construction that you had to go into. There was you went to one of the shipping dockyards. So while you're at the docks, there was like a bunch of shipping containers, and you had to fight Baxter Stockman and the Mousers, including like a giant Omega Mama Mouser type of thing. Like, it was ridiculous.
And this next image here, which is kind of small, but we'd kind of have to zoom in a bit, but it says Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutants in Manhattan, and it gives a group picture here.
Well, I was about to say you might have to zoom in, but thank God for Messenger, it actually resized it for me.
But yeah, that's one of the titles apparently for this. Like I said before, another title was Out of the Shadows. And then the next image after that is just the group image itself with some comic scans in the back.
Yep.
Which, yeah, one I can see is
the one right next to Michelangelo is the Krang. Like, the actual, it's Krang inside of,
an Utrom?
Yeah, his little robot thing.
Shell thing.
Yeah. And then Bebop and Rocksteady are right above Mikey. It looks like, yep, that's supposed to be Splinter right next to Leo's Katana. Right above Donnie's bow staff is Shredder. And then it looks like there's just a random building next to Wrath's Size.
That might be the Shredder's hideout building.
That one actually wouldn't surprise me. Because I know in one of the Fandom Knight episodes, it was a long time ago. In fact, it might even be under the Reploid Productions channel. We sat and read because they had re-released all the comics in essentially like a hardback graphic novel style, like a 20-year anniversary edition or 25-year anniversary or something weird like that. But we actually sat and read the comic for a bit and showed off some of the pictures and stuff. And I do believe that actually is the building that they go in and kill the Shredder in the very first comic. And yes, in the very first comic, they run into the Shredder, go into his building, and kill Shredder in the first book.
But from what you've seen from these images, if these images are what it's going to look like, would you be interested in a Turtles game that looks like this?
Surprisingly, yes. I know that these last two, like the one where it's the title and then the one where it's just the
Turtles.
Well, yeah, just the Turtles with the comic book images, which is essentially the same thing as the one that has the title on it. They just cropped off the title and made it look a little bit more high-res. But, yeah, even with the way they look and everything, like, you could definitely tell that the style is trying to go towards, like, the grittiness of the comic books. Excuse me. And, like, the weapons look a little off, but again, it would have to come down to a matter of I'd have to see how they're actually doing it. Yeah. Like, this is kind of like the Sentai. You know, when we're reviewing the Sentai costumes, sometimes just seeing them doesn't really do much. Like, I'd have to see it in motion. Yeah. So maybe if they release, like, a
trailer.
Yeah, a trailer for the game or somebody
gameplay
playing
footage.
it. Yeah. Then I'd be able to make a better judgment. But just looking at these, yeah, I'd be perfectly fine with these. Like I said, you know, me and Bill sat down and played a few years back that, the Nickelodeon Turtles game that they had released for Xbox 360 and PS3, I think it was.
I think that was PS3 and 360, but 360 also had two of them. But then again, the 3DS had two of them as well.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, we were playing that one, and I mean, it was awesome. The only thing that sucked about it was you had to get so much of, like, a score to get so many points, and for every so many points, you could dump them into, like, a new stat. Well, one of the stats that you could use was essentially, like, a super move, but Bill and I couldn't figure out how to use the super move, whereas the computers could. So we would constantly buy, like, the super moves for the people that we weren't using. So, like, he would constantly be Leo, and then I'd switch between, like, Donnie and Mikey.
Actually,
and it would kind of go along with in the cartoon how, like, Donatello now has it where he can hit a button and his bow staff actually turns into, like, a giant spear, and Michelangelo actually has the what is it? It's a comma with a chain attached to it, like he can turn his chucks into that. Well, so that way then they actually have, like, bladed weapons.
There was also a game that was digitally available for PS3 and 360 called Out of the Shadows that wasn't like the Nickelodeon series, but then again it did also have the Nickelodeon title on it for some odd reason.
Yeah, I think that's the one that Bill and I were playing.
Yeah.
And like I said, that one, like, there were times where it looked like completely, like, bowling shoe ugly, to put it nicely, but it was still a fairly fun game because it was just like most Turtles games. It was like your standard beat 'em up, and that's what this looks like. Is it's just another standard beat 'em up, and for Turtles, it works.
I think the one major thing that would make people actually accept this game is if there's multiplayer in it. Because
there should be, but the problem when it comes down to multiplayer is if you're trying to play like a local game, they usually only allow like 2 player for a local game. and you'd have to go online in order to do 4-player.
Yeah, but I mean...
And for some people, online doesn't exactly work out.
Well, what I mean is, not have it like that movie, the TMNT movie video game, where it was only one person switching between...
The different turtles, yeah.
I mean, that was one...
That one was more of a throwback to our NES game, and...
yeah.
I think that's enough said.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this could be... The way the images look, like you said, unless we actually see a trailer with gameplay footage, this could be a good game, a good Turtles game. So the next subject that we're going to is the Assassin's Creed movie has finished filming and is now in the post-production stuff. How do you think this will turn out? I mean, we know that it's going to be starring a good actor, Michael Fassbender, who played Magneto in the X-Men, more recent X-Men movies.
Yeah, young Magneto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, will this actually break the video game movie mold and actually make video game movies watchable now?
It's possible, but my problem is I've never been a huge fan of Assassin's Creed. Like, I played the first game, dug it, thought it was pretty cool. Then the next one came out and I didn't care enough to get it. The next one came out, I didn't care enough to get it. The next one came out, I didn't care enough to get it. Pretty much one of the last ones that I saw, because I know everybody's always there's a huge fight between who's better, Ezio or whichever one it was that was for the Spanish Inquisition type area. I can't think of his name right now. Everybody's always, oh, well, this dude is better than that dude. No, this one's better. You're a moron. But I've never cared enough to actually, play them outside of, the first game. I know when Black Flag came out, the pirate one, I remember watching one of my roommates at the time. He had got it because he was huge and, hardcore into it. And he would essentially, sit on a ship and sail around in the oceans and just shoot people for no reason. Literally, if you were a boat in the middle of the ocean, he'd be like, "This is my ocean, you get out of it," and just start blowing people out of the water for no reason. And I was like, well, if you have to find a way to create a game inside of a game, that means one of two things has happened. Either one, the game sucks and is boring and is not worth your damn time to play it, or you've played this game so many times that you have to create your own variant of the game because you love it so much but you can't find another way to play it. Kind of like how in the Castlevania episode we were discussing Symphony of the Night and how we used to sit down in Bill's basement and play Symphony of the Night using homemade rules. Or we used to play Dragon Ball Z Budokai. We played all the different Budokais, and we created our own game known as the Dragon Ball RP, where essentially we would run through using Budokai as our basis, and we would create our own characters and storylines. We had our own homemade map, because we all loved playing it so much that the story just started getting boring, and doing the same thing over and over again wasn't worth our time. So, like I said, if you found a way to do something cool inside of a game, use the game to make another game, that either means you love it or you hate it. So with me, I'm kind of on this, but not as much so as when you and I went to go see Star Wars, and during the trailers, I held up a middle finger from start to finish when they started showing the trailer for
Warcraft.
Instantly, because it's black screen, and then there's people talking, and then it opens up, and as soon as I saw the freaking orcs, I was like, nope, done with this, don't care. I understand that Warcraft is a completely separate monster from World of Warcraft, and World of Warcraft only came to be because of Warcraft, but, yeah, I'm done with this story, I don't care about it.
But with this article, it's They finished filming. It's now in post-production and is still set to release on December 21st of this year. And technically, them saying that they finished filming, that's got to be a good thing.
Well, the fact that they're done filming at least means that they've gotten all the shots that they need. The only thing that would end up coming down, because of course that could just be that they're done with principal photography.
They could still do pickups and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. There could still be pickups. They could go through and realize that they messed up a portion of the story, so they need to come back in and do reshoots. They thought they had the shot that they needed and then realized that one of the jackasses had dropped a boom mic into the shot barely for like 2 seconds, but it's the 2 seconds that they needed inside the movie to continue the story. So they got to go back and reshoot it and hope that they still have the exact same weather conditions as the day that they did it. Making a movie is essentially no more than a giant pain in the ass.
Which, actually, if people want to know more about that, check out the Hobbit Battle of the Five Armies Blu-ray Extended Edition, and you'll see how much of a pain in the ass it looked like Peter Jackson had.
Oh yeah, I can believe that.
Because at that point, he was just going with the flow.
Yep.
Everybody knows that for The Lord of the Rings, they had years and years to figure out the stuff on what to do for the movies. With The Hobbit, they were trying to, when it was Peter Jackson and, what's his name?
God, I can't remember. I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of the name.
Del Toro, something like that.
I think so, yeah. Yeah. Wait, was it Guillermo?
I forgot how you pronounce his full name, but the guy who was going to work
I don't think it actually was Guillermo del Toro, though.
Yeah, it was.
I could be wrong. Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Then, yeah, I was thinking of somebody different, so yeah, you win.
It was supposed to be him and Peter Jackson working on this movie, but then when he dropped out, it just became all on Peter Jackson. So then Peter Jackson more or less had to work on making what was originally supposed to be like I think was originally supposed to be a 2-movie thing, and then was okay to split it into 3 movies. So a lot of it he didn't exactly have planned.
Oh, I can believe that. That's how a lot of movies actually get made. A lot of stuff is actually done, like, on the fly. Like, what was it? I was listening to an interview with somebody. Oh, it was Pretty Woman. I guess apparently Pretty Woman was supposed to be a lot darker and grittier, and the ending wasn't actually like the way that the ending was. Like, it wasn't supposed to be like a happy movie. It was supposed to be like a really like dark, gritty type of movie. But the director would literally like constantly be rolling the camera, even when people didn't know it. And a lot of the stuff was actually like ad-libbed, like just sitting around BSing between the actors. And he was like, well, I think we got it. Like the scene where Richard Gere actually like slams the box down on what's her name's hand. I don't know why I can't think of her name right now.
Julia Roberts.
Yeah, he closes that box down on her hand, and she kind of starts laughing, and like literally, if you pay attention to it, she looks like right past the camera at the director, being like, "Oh, did you see what he did there? He just slammed the box on my hand. Isn't that funny?" Like, literally, that wasn't even supposed to be in the movie. That would have been, like, outtakes. But the director literally made his own movie just kind of recording stuff. Like, took the basic premise and made his own shit. That stuff actually happens all the time.
Alright, so to the next article, which actually the next one we can kind of put in, well, the next two we can kind of put into one, is about the Pokemon 20th anniversary.
Okay.
So this year marks the 20th anniversary of when Pokemon first came out, as far as like the games and apparently the cards as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because they released the trading card game a little after they released the actual video game for Game Boy.
And to mark the 20th anniversary, they have a crap ton of stuff planned. I mean, stuff for their website as far as the shop stuff. The main ones that we know of right now, we've heard of overseas. There's supposed to be like a somewhat transparent 2DSs being released with digital versions of Pokemon Blue, Red, Yellow, and I think Green in some places.
Well, I was about to say, overseas it would more than likely be green, because the way that it broke down, in Japan they got green and red, in America we got blue, red, and yellow. I don't think Japan actually got a yellow until like way after the American release.
Well, overseas they're getting a yellowish 2DS with yellow. So.
Yeah.
But over here in the US, we're just getting a new 3DS that's got two clamshells, one for red, one for blue, and it's going to have the download for red and blue.
Yep. Yep, I remember that one.
And an actual, I guess, a theme type thing on it as well, as in the menus. That's a nice little thing for the 20th anniversary, but that's not the only thing. They're reprinting and relabeling like the first, well, I wouldn't quite say first, but more or less the base set of the Pokemon trading card game and labeling it as Generations.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. Okay, yeah.
And also, they're going to be remastering the first three Pokemon movies.
Yep.
The Mewtwo Strikes Back, Pokemon 2000, I think, and the third one, The Spell of the Unknown.
Yep.
And a few places I've seen actually have like DVDs and the three movies in a Blu-ray set available for like a pre-order.
I can believe that.
And most of these things are going to be coming out in February. And these are some awesome ways to celebrate the 20th anniversary, and they're not just stopping there. They're talking about, oh yeah, in 2016 we're also releasing the Pokken tournament game for the Wii U. We're also got this Pokemon Go coming out for the Android iDevices. And
oh yeah, that's the one that's supposed to be the cell phone game where you wander around and you can find Pokemon in real life type of thing, right?
Yeah. And then
okay, yeah.
There's also supposed to be some more Pokemon distributions to market as well.
I believe it.
And I know for a fact that I think GameStop is supposed to be getting Mew as the first one.
Well, technically, when it comes right down to it, outside of like Mario, Pokemon is one of their bigger heavy hitters. Like, not just from the actual video games or the trading card game or the movie, but like, more people grew up with Pokemon than with most of the other Nintendo, like, library, if you want to put it that way, like, they're heavy hitters. So when it comes right down to it, you have more people who can sit around and talk about Pokemon than people that can actually sit and agree with, like, Mario games.
Trying to figure out about the Mario, so that's going to be difficult.
Yep, exactly.
You make more sense with a Pokemon than you do with the Mario line.
Yep, exactly. Especially considering the fact that you have problems where, like, Super Mario Brothers 2 wasn't actually Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario Brothers 2 in Japan was actually released over here as the Lost Levels, whereas Super Mario Brothers 2, the one that we got, was actually Doki Doki Panic, which literally translates to Crazy Crazy Panic. But they reskinned it with Mario skins for your main characters. That later got a release along with the All-Stars collection. Only in Japan, they had to change it from being Super Mario Bros. 2 to actually being Super Mario Bros. USA. What else? I know there's another one for Mario, and I can't remember. Like, a really crazy one. Well, I mean, other than, of course, the different translations, because, of course, the different regions have different problems, but when it comes down to Pokemon, there's really never been any, like, conspiracies or controversies with Pokemon other than in the original version of the game, like the actual red, blue, green, yellow. When you get to, I think it's Indigo, the city where the Pokemon graveyard is.
Oh.
That music apparently was so haunting that it actually caused kids to develop depression and commit suicide.
Well, then again, we could also go into the stuff that was taken out of the animated cartoon series as well, but...
yeah, that's true, but I mean, then again, considering the fact of it was just, if I remember correctly, just Porygon.
Well, it was Porygon, Tentacruel episode, there was like quite a few that had guns, James had boobs.
Yeah, but that's because James actually wasn't a guy. In Japan, it was actually two females were the ones in Team Rocket. That's why they were constantly going out of their way to try to capture Pokemon, was because they were actually trying to, like, date Giovanni. Like, that was their whole point in life, was they were actually supposed to be going out of their way to try to collect as many different and rare Pokemon, so that way then Giovanni would like them and they could try to date him.
And then
it came down to a matter of once it came over here, oh, well, we can't have it being that guys are good and girls are bad, so let's just change this other chick into a dude, seeing as how she's already pretty much fairly flat-chested.
And, of course, there's also the whole Jinx thing.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Jinx.
Yeah.
Right.
But with all the stuff that they've announced and talked about for the 20th anniversary, what part of it do you actually like the most that you've heard of?
When it comes right down to it, because I know that you had been talking about it on the group chat with the guys, and you were like, yeah, I'm thinking about getting up the Pokemon 3DS. And I was like, yeah, that kind of does sound like a good idea, just for the simple fact of my 3DS has been owned by 3 different people, including myself. And if you hold it weird, sometimes it'll just randomly shut off on you. So that's a battery problem. Now, I can easily give it to a friend of ours who pretty much all he'd need to do is go in, unscrew the screws, make sure that the battery's connected properly, and then re-screw everything back in together. But at the same time, it might be kind of cool to actually get the rare Pokemon thing.
Yeah.
But like you said, and like Bill had said, essentially all it is it's just a cover that's going to go over top your 3DS. Like, what's the point? You know, you could technically, after a while, GameStop and pretty much anywhere else that has it, they'll just start selling it for dirt cheap because there's kind of no point, in just selling the entire package. You know what I mean? With it already connected. Plus, people will get it, be like, oh, well, I just got it because I wanted a 3DS. I didn't care that it was Pokemon. And then they'll just sell the case. You know what I mean? Like the actual clampy portion that you just snap over the top of it. Now, the fact that they are re-releasing all 4 games, like I'm not sure if we'll actually get Leaf Green over here or not.
No. It's just the Game Boy versions.
Okay, so it is just the regular Game Boy version?
It's just red, blue, and then the yellow is the color one.
Okay. No, I know that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't know if they're just going to, like, throw them out as digital versions, if there's going to be actual copies or whatnot. But,
it is digital.
Getting it. It is all digital?
Yeah.
Okay. Then, yeah, just going to the eShop and getting it. I mean, hell, that's not that terrible, and I might actually do that. I mean, don't get me wrong, if they were the updated versions, I might play it a little bit more, because in the updates, like Fire Red and Leaf Green and that, they actually changed around a few things to make them, like, play a little bit better.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just going back and replaying them, I do that all day long, no problem. Like, I constantly, every now and again, I'll get the urge, like Bill does, to sit down and play Pokemon. And I'll go out and I'll get an emulator for my phone, and I'll download, like, the Pokemon Silver, because Silver was my jam. Like, when it came down to Gen 2, Silver was, like, hands down the best. Just because you could actually still go back to Kanto and run through, like, the original gym circuit. So Silver was hands down my jam, but when it came to the others, like playing Red or Blue, those were always awesome. I mean, the only other thing that I might do is I might get yellow just because it's always cool to actually, like, get the Pikachu at the start. But the problem with that one is because you have the Pikachu at the start as that gimmick, and it is your starter Pokemon, it kind of bones you if you don't know where the other Pokemon are to help you. Like, you have to know where the Mankey is, so you could get the Mankey and train him up to have fighting moves so you could beat Brock.
I know.
The fact that you can get all of the starters in that game is pretty awesome, but at the same time, you still know how to be able to get up to Brock to be able to move on to the rest of the game, so you can get your Bulbasaur and your Charizard and your Squirtle, so you could turn them into almighty, ungodly, kill everything team.
I know when I checked at work, I think a couple days ago or something, when I checked the digital content that's coming out for like upcoming stuff, it did show red, blue, and yellow listed, and the prices are about $10.
Yeah, which, like I said, that's not really that ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's an actual copy, so I don't have to worry about, like I said, getting a ROM where sometimes people don't complete the ROMs, so you can't actually play the game in its entirety. Because sometimes they'll actually do that. Like, they won't tell you that it's essentially like a hardcore version of the game, where there's an actual internal timer in it. And if you don't beat that internal timer, your game's done. You can't play it anymore. So you only have X amount of time to grind, X amount of time to get all the badges, X amount of time to beat the Elite Four.
I know. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in this new 3DS, so much so that I did actually put it down on reserve. I know I'm looking forward to just about everything that was announced, except for, I think, some of the stuff for their Nintendo or Pokemon shop stuff, but I'm interested in the Generation card re-release. I'm interested in the 3DS, the new 3DS. I'm definitely interested in re-getting the Pokemon movies for Blu-ray.
The movies, I'm not as much. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, when the first movie came out, my old man was working, like, down the street from a Burger King, and I guess the manager had came in, and she needed, like, some work done on her car. Well, he knew that she was the manager at the Burger King, because he was going there to lunch and stuff, and he said, "Here, I'll make you a deal. You get me all 6 of the gold Pokemon cards that came in their own Pokeball, and I'll knock a few bucks off the price for what it's going to cost you to get your car done." So literally, we had all of the golden cards. Like, I don't know what happened to them, but we had all of them. And that was, like, one of the coolest things about when that movie came out. Like, I remember seeing the first 2 movies in the theaters because, you know, me and my brother were hardcore into it. My sister not as much, but she still enjoyed watching the show. So we all saw the first movie in theaters. We went and saw the second movie in theaters. I think it came around to being the third movie, and I remember I skipped out on it because I'd finally gotten past that point in time where I was like, all right, Pokemon's cool, but enough with the anime. I don't care about the anime anymore. I'm done with that. I might play the games every now and again, but after that, I don't care. So I think I went and saw something else, but I'm not as big into them as I used to be. Like, the movies are cool and all that, but again, after a while, you start realizing that the anime is kind of a joke.
Well, I know that when they say remastering of these first 3 movies, it's not just on Blu-ray, they're remastering them digitally as well.
Yep.
And, I mean, I'm going to be curious about the Pokemon Go when it comes out.
I'm hit and miss on it.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm curious.
Well, I'm curious about it, but somebody had told me, I think it was you, had told me the company that did it, and I got a game from the company that did it, and the game was not worth my time. Like, the game was the exact same thing that Pokemon is doing, where essentially what you have to do is actually get up out of your house and either drive or walk to the location, which is kind of cool in its own right. But the game that they had released was you were supposed to go there and you're supposed to be fending off an alien invasion. And the alien invasion is taking place through the internet. It was kind of like a They Live type of thing.
Okay.
Where as long as you had this app, like the game, you could actually go and sit down, and you had to collect like data points, and by collecting data points it would allow you to get like defenses to defend yourselves from the aliens and all the different people, like different hackers trying to like steal your stuff. And you had to scan QR codes or go to the different landmarks. Like, I know one of them was the bowling alley up the street from Bill's, which you would imagine would be the movie theater over in Pekin, but instead it's the bowling alley up the street from Bill's. And you'd have to pull up in the parking lot and start doing like a download from the game into this like quote hot spot that was magically put into the bowling alley. And I was like, this is retarded. There's no point in this. Like, by the time I would finally be able to drive somewhere that actually had it, because mind you, I got the game in the middle of the winter, so it's not like I'm walking anywhere. Screw that, too cold. But by the time I would drive somewhere, find a spot to park, sit down and screw around with my phone, and then drive away, I'd start looking like I was a crazy person. Now, when it comes down to the Pokemon game, that might be a little bit different because you're going to have more people doing it. Like, not just kids, but adults as well, so they're not going to look as psychotic doing it. Especially when they're walking around with a little Pokeball that you have to carry around with you that you have to buy separate for your phone.
Well,
which is essentially like a GPS tracker to help you figure out where the Pokemon is, but...
Well, one of the weird things about that Pokemon Go game is the trailer that they showed, all the Pokemon were the first gen.
Yep.
And there was not any kids playing.
No, I could have sworn there was a couple kids playing. Like, they were playing with their parents, but...
The parents were the ones doing most of the gameplay stuff, and the grown-ups were, so... You didn't see any little kids.
Well, again, that's because it also comes down to a matter of, I can already guarantee you, this is not, regardless what they say, this is not a free-to-play. This will be a pay-to-play game.
Well, there's going to be, a lot of the stuff is going to be free, but...
Well, the app will be free. You're going to have to pay for their little Pokeball GPS thing, so you can figure out if you caught the Pokemon or whatnot. But it's going to be like a lot of different phone games. Most phone games are pay-to-play. Or, well, pay-to-win, rather. There's a lot of games that I play that are absolutely free, but if you want to win at the game, pay this company that gave you this application and game for absolutely free, pay them money and they'll help you out with stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure there's going to be like a set rest period for you to get the PP for your moves back after you've, captured a Pokemon. If you're injured, you're going to have to wait for them to rest up normally. But if you pay me $10 in real U.S. American currency, I'll give you 5 potions for you to use on your Pokemon so you can get back to battling quicker. What's that? You need some Pokeballs to actually capture the Pokemon because you're still going to need those in order to play? Okay. Pay me $15 and I'll give you 20 Pokeballs. That's a decent deal, especially for a phone game. But considering the fact that if you just want one more Pokeball, and I'm talking the normal random, like normal everyday red and white Pokeball, they'll charge you $1 for that. You want a you want a Great Ball or an Ultra Ball? Yeah, that's going to probably be $2 to $3 per ball that you have to pay to an online company in order to play this game for free.
Now, speaking of Pokemon and the 20th anniversary, that leads into the next bit of news article. The Pokken tournament game has a release date for North America being in March. And also, along with the release date, they've also announced that there's going to be an amiibo card with the home versions of Shadow Mewtwo that's only going to be usable for this game.
Yeah, I haven't really heard much about this game, so you kind of got me.
Yeah, I mean, you've probably seen some stuff on this Pokken tournament.
Sadly, no.
No?
Not that I can think of, no.
Well, I mean...
If it's been all over Facebook, sadly, I've been ignoring Facebook lately. Too much political and world news and people dying and
Well, shoot.
sad stuff I don't care enough to see.
Well, I guess for this one, it'll just be me doing my normal stuff on it. But, yeah, it's nice that they actually finally got, well, a release month for this game. Even though it is going to be only for the Wii U. And this Shadow Mewtwo card, even though it's just an amiibo card, it's a nice little bonus.
I can believe that.
But yeah, the Pokken tournament is more or less kind of like Tekken with Pokemon.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm looking it up now.
And they
so
did.
If I drop the call, that's why.
But another thing that they did announce for this, I think not too long ago, they did say that there was going to be some kind of fight pad that they're releasing along with the game. Which they usually do for every fighting game. They usually release some kind of fight pad.
That wouldn't surprise me. That started way back with Street Fighter, because Street Fighter used to be pretty much an arcade-only game until, like, the Super Nintendo and Sega, when they were like, here, buy this game, take it home, learn to play, and after you've learned to play, now you can go to the arcade and start playing. So because of that, a lot of people would get used to playing at the arcade using the actual machine, where it had, like, the 6-button configuration, so that way then you could have your low punch, medium punch, high punch, low kick, mid kick, high kick, and then you could do your different combos from there. And I'm trying to see... Number of players to be determined. Oh, goodies. Thank you, Pokemon. Am I supposed to know if I'm going to be able to play with... Well, considering the fact that it's a Wii U game, and...
Yeah.
Well, yes, my parents own a Wii U. It's not like I do, so... It's not like I'm just going to go out and buy this just to sit down and play it, sadly.
Actually, we need to start winding this down, because my battery's running down.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So yeah, for those... Yeah, to wind this down, thanks to those watching, listening to this episode. Thanks to Seth for joining me on this, I guess, episode back to starting this action video game talk back up.
Getting back in the groove of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been months and months.
Not a problem, though. Considering the fact that we were already recording episodes for
the Wrestling Corner.
Our Wrestling Corner, which just go to fandomknight.com and there's an RSS feed and a YouTube link and a contact info and all kinds of stuff. Fandomknight.com, I mean, you know, just fandomknight.com.